Marhaba. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to room 2 of the IPMA Red Carpet event for Gega projects in KSA. So we'll start in around a minute. I'd like the panelists to kindly turn on their camera and audio. Welcome, Pierre. Welcome, Peter. And welcome, Waleed, if you can. Okay, great. We are all in here. Let's wait just for a bit because I'm seeing people move from room 1 to room 2. Okay, we have 71 so far joining in. There are over 100 who were in room 1. Okay. So I think we are good to go. So welcome. I'm very happy to have this event. We are organizers as advisors and advisors KSA for the IPMA Red Carpet event for the leaders of Gega projects in Saudi Arabia. And we have people joining us from tons of countries, not only from Saudi Arabia, so everybody is welcome. Allow me, please, to start by welcoming our panelists. Our topic today is achieving success through competences of individuals. And I have 3 powerful panelists with me. Let us start with the one shaking his head, Waleed. Okay? So Waleed ElTwapty, he's from Siemens Energy Egypt. He's a project director in the technology sector and also an IPMA Level A project manager. So welcome, Waleed. You are muted. Can you be unmuted?
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you and welcome. Then allow me to welcome Peter Jedelhauser from Swiss Railways, Switzerland. And he is project director in the construction industry and also IPMA Level A. So welcome, Peter.
Good evening to everybody.
Thank you. And we kept the French-Italian till the end. So welcome, Pierre Cappeletti from Baker Hughes, Italy. And he's a project director in the oil and gas sector and also IPMA Level A. So welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay, so I should be afraid because tonight I'm surrounded by the IPMA Level A people, professional people. So this is very intriguing and I'm very happy and looking forward to a very interesting session tonight. So welcome again.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the way we are managing this session is the following. We will have 3 polls, and our dear audience is invited to participate and give their opinion. Then after each poll, we will ask a question or a challenge. And each one of our panelists is kindly required to provide their insights and their opinions, their answers, their point of views, and then we can share it in a discussion. We're gonna have 3 rounds, and after the 3 rounds are over, we will be open to questions and answers from the audience. Is this okay for everybody?
Yep.
Okay, good, great. So let's start with the first poll. And the first poll goes to our audience. Okay. So you should see it on the polls icon. And the poll 1 is about, in your opinion, what are the major challenges facing leaders of Gega projects in the world? 1, leaders of Gega projects often lack the required competencies to lead complex project organizations. 2, there are not enough talents and experience available to fill all the needed roles for seamless management. 3, stakeholder management complexities often include conflicting agendas and vested interests. And 4, politics cause various scope changes, delay funds, and might impose specific vendors, not necessarily optimizing things. So let us give our dear audience like 20 seconds or so more to select the answer, which is a bit tricky. Do you believe one of them is more right than the other? They are all right, maybe in different environments or contexts. What do you think, Pierre? If you say now, you're gonna affect what people would answer. Yes,
exactly. I shouldn't influence the poll here. So,
yeah.
I'm glad to see that the first one is not clicked a lot. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so you are in the clear, huh?
So far,
because all three
now
of you
I see people,
leaders of Gega projects. But by the time people end IPMA Level A, how common is that? Like, how many IPMA Level A project managers or directors there are currently accredited in the world? Are they like a couple of thousand or so? Do you have an idea?
I think a couple of hundreds.
Wow. So it's a rare commodity, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna. The poll has stabilized. So, okay. So the first one, 10%. Okay. So I believe this is very interesting statistics to start with. So because Pierre, I stopped you from giving your opinion, I'm gonna start the first challenge or question with you, and let us try to reflect and relate to this statistic. So our question is that current project management competence needs and challenges in your industry. What can you tell us about it? What is the main challenge or problem there? And maybe you would like to reflect a bit on the opinion of our participants here.
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting poll, and it's an interesting result because question 2, 3, and 4 they basically have an equal share of interest in our audience. 3 and 4 actually are what in the IPMA we talk about as perspective. So it's the influence that the strategy, that the shareholders, stakeholders, that the culture can have on a project. No? But I have to admit that in my experience in the oil and gas, we do face a lot of challenges around what we call to be the unexpected. So we can really work a lot in terms of planning, in terms of identifying risk, in terms of trying to build contingency around what we think could happen. And very, very often, ultimately, we face the unexpected. Of course, if you reflect on the past years, it's a very easy thing to agree with, because we went first through a very difficult time with oil prices, which really affected a lot of our customers in terms of financials, and then we entered an even worse situation with the pandemic. And both cases really could not be properly forecasted. It was probably both cases were probably on the risk matrix of someone, but really difficult to action and to prevent and to build a real solid plan around that. So, in my experience, at least in the world of service, oil and gas, with the operating and maintenance companies, what really made the difference in both cases actually was our connection and our ability to leverage our teams. The importance to have people that are willing to have creative thoughts and really respond to a challenge that is unexpected. And so really ultimately they impacted our own teams and the effort that we put in developing those teams, sometimes remote teams, because of course in a global situation we have people all over the world, was really key. Our ability to communicate and to listen to their ideas and to develop and to respond to their ideas. And this is not only with our team, of course. I'm thinking about team, but this is an extended team. So of course, including customers and their ability to support the end result. So ultimately, yes, we do face a lot of external factors, and I think number 3 and number 4 are good examples of that, politics or engagement of stakeholders that are maybe outside our control. But in my personal experience, the key to success has always been our connection with our partner, our customer, and look at the entire group of people as a team, actually, with a clear aim to be successful in the operating and maintenance of big oil and gas plants.
Excellent point. So in face of the pandemic, which is a challenge nobody could have imagined before it happened, you replaced these solid like baselines that we stick to all the time with better communication, some sort of agile communication and collaboration, more with your ecosystem across the supply chain, with your vendors, with your clients, in order to come up with something that can get us all to work together during this pandemic. Because the previous planning, which we spent a lot of time and years perfecting until we reach today, does not work anymore in this situation. So, having said that, let us move to Waleed. Waleed, what do you think? What do you think of this is Baker Hughes, now we go to Siemens, okay?
Yes.
You both operate in the area of energy.
Yes.
Is it the same challenges you've been facing, or you might have something?
No, for me, I'm working in the energy field, but electricity sectors for power plants as well as substations, electrical substations to be connected to the grids. Therefore, through the days which we are now, the communication, I think it's better than earlier, because it's now everything we can do it on meetings, on lines, everything. Also, the companies save some monies from, let's say, make everything on lines. And the communication now is going faster. Also, some productivity is coming enhanced for the colleagues. However, the sites, it's working good, and also the result at the end, it's achieving all the milestones we have. Concerning the competences, as I see the item number 3, the stakeholders for the Giga deals, always this is the most competences which we should have to manage in the right way. This is it's a challenge, because normally you are dealing with this Giga project with Excellency President or the kings or prime ministers or the minister of electricity or whatever the ministers. The deal and the monitoring the project with them, it's very challenging, and normally we have a bi-weekly meeting with them. Therefore, I see the colleagues here or the audience choosing the stakeholders, they are right.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So, stakeholder management it is.
Yeah.
And it's very important, whether in the pandemic or outside the pandemic.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, maybe the process, the governance, the tools, and the techniques alone, or the way they were set before, do not help you if you do not remanage and maybe reinvent the relationship with the stakeholders, reshuffle everything in a different manner. We were working, I personally was one of the people who prefer face-to-face meetings and engagements and shaking hand and having dinners and seeing the people. But right now we had to move everything to go online. And it has its merits because, as you said, in some areas we were able to optimize things. Okay, so there are opportunities in some problems if we know how to manage them right. So by this, I go to our friend Peter. Peter, what do you think? What's your reflection, the biggest challenge, and with respect to what our audience have selected?
Well, I think now speaking from a point of view, infrastructure projects and what are, as it's written in the question, the major challenges facing the leaders of such Giga projects. I think in the whole, because how can we build a good relations with our stakeholders, with our parties, whether stakeholders or just neighbors or just people concerned, if we do not do all what we can do to maintain or to establish a relation of trust. And I think here, especially here, now with the pandemic, it became even more obvious because, as you said, we had more we have developed means and ways to communicate not only physically but also by other means. And we now in my project, which I'm actually leading, we even realized that this element becomes more and more important. And here I think IPMA competence baselines are helping us. And they are helping us in reflecting the issues, for instance, also in the whole people competencies. And I have realized there are basically two main issues which I really address day by day, hour by hour, to our people, to my colleagues. Be transparent and be reliable. If we are transparent, if we do everything to be correct and transparent, but also reliable, to deliver what we have promised to deliver at the date X, for instance, then I think we can contribute enormously also to manage this major challenge which we are facing in Giga projects. And here I think as a community of project leaders, level A, as you said, a couple of hundreds, we have really a task to fulfill, and we have to do everything that we can to a certain extent regain trust in our mega projects.
So trust it is. Trust is very hard to earn and very easy to lose.
Right.
The problem I faced with trust in many people I worked with before, out of goodwill and some planning, okay, that does not factor the pandemic into consideration, I gave some commitments. But when things are over my head and I cannot fulfill what I promised people, the only next best thing is to be very honest, as you said, and to explain what is this, be very transparent, explain the current situation and why we cannot honor our previous commitments, but what are the next level of commitments that we believe honestly we can honor and commit to. Hopefully not being faced by a second pandemic so that we cannot, you can do this once to trust, you cannot do it twice. So thank you, very interesting. You all speak about stakeholders, about communication, about trust, about people. I believe this is one of the, or maybe the most important thing in Gega projects. And guess what? Gega projects has lots and lots of people. And when you have lots of people, you have lots of conflicting opinions. And how you manage the relationship with these conflicting opinions is not easy at all. So let us go to the second poll and start by again taking the opinion of our participants before we start with our second wave of discussion. Poll 2, success of the Gega projects or Gega projects requires leaders master the following competences. People first, build and nurture the team, and the team will manage the project through success. 2, politics first, formulate the right alliances, monitor key stakeholders closely, and master the trade end game. trade and gain, give and take, خذ وأعطي. Yes, Waleed is shaking his head. It's everywhere in the world, okay? Nobody gives you anything for free. Then number 3, generalist leaders. Generalist, like my friend Antonio Nieto Rodriguez, he speaks all the time about the generalist leader, catering for strategy, business continuity, operation success, and project outcome simultaneously. So these people look beyond the project. And number 4, all of the above. So let us give our dear audience some time to reflect before we get in. And this time, maybe I'm going to start.
For the commissioning of the longest tunnel of the world, the Gotthard Base Railway Tunnel. And this was a huge technological issue. So one day we succeeded very important commissioning tests, and we invited some politicians. And you say here politicians first, so we did invite some politicians. And in the morning, early morning, at around 6:30 in the morning, one of those very important high-ranking politicians was side to me, and he told me the following sentence, and I read it because it's really an original. He said it like this: "It is always impressive that in spite of all technological possibilities we have, the persons involved remain the crucial factor." And I learned a very important lesson there. We can be the best individualists. We can be extremely strong in one subject, but such projects are led or are made by a team of people. And the art of conducting such projects starts with building up your team. A team which is complementary, a team which is diversified by point of view, experience, education, everything what you can name. And I think for me, this was one of the most crucial factors of success to have the right team for a specific project. And those competences we need, I was really taking or reading in the ICB competence baselines in order to reflect what do I need to be successful. And after having done this, I started to select my team on a diversified manner. And this politician who said me this, I will never forget it.
Okay. Take good care of this politician because they are not very much like him.
Unfortunately, he was not re-elected. I've also to say it, but
it seems he was a very good politician because he was honest and trustworthy. So they did not elect him the next time.
He was not re-elected, unfortunately, but we remained very good friends.
Yeah, excellent. Now, what actually Peter started to speak about is I missed to state, sorry, my mistake, the second question, which is what is the role of leaders and sponsors in the success of Gega projects, and do they have all the required competencies to lead to success? And Peter had an excellent kickoff start by focusing on number 1, team first. In the statistics, we see 8% talking about politics, 8% generalist, and 60% decided to check all 3 above. So, Waleed, what do you think? What's your take on this challenge and in relationship with the audience? Having said that, Peter already took the team first, huh? But you can select it if you like.
Yeah. For me, all of them, but with different, let's say, weight. But all of them, it's right. For the team, I agree with Peter about it. If you have the success project, this means you have the right resources at right time. This will achieve 100% your target and the project objectives and goals. And then sometimes you should have some projects, should be, in order to secure the project during the project life cycle, which you have, as well as generalist leaders should be there. However, I agree with Peter The most weighted one is the team or your resources for executing your project. I have one example for that during my executing my Giga project we executing 11 substations at the same time, and we need experts, and we have a workshop here in Egypt with all the factory heads in order to secure the number of experts. However, we found that there is no number of experts covering the whole scope at the same time. This is let's say a challenge, very challenging. What we are doing, we certify a local staff, and as well as some retired experts, we getting them on board, especially for this project, in order to cover our situations. This means we found the right person, or we have an action to get the right persons at the right time in order to secure the project milestones.
Yeah, but aren't you afraid a little bit because you are certifying people on the ground?
Yes.
It's like you are flying the plane and you are training somebody to fly it with you.
No, because these people, they are already have the know-how, and in order to certify them, they should have some training and execute some jobs prior to come to on board.
Okay. So your reflection about the role of leader and sponsor in the success of Giga project is to attempt to find the right competencies and resources. And if you don't have them, go and make them.
Yes.
Okay, go and get whomever you can have and build on whatever they have, close their gaps. Okay, maybe mentor, coach, train, whatever on the job training until they are to the right quality level. And then you can proceed and work on to succeed in your project.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you, Waleed.
Welcome.
Now,
with his previous answer about trust and the importance of trust, and I was telling you, Saadi, that when I first started working in Russia, and like 15 years ago, I didn't have any gray hair. And the first time I was meeting customer, that was really the common question. It's like, how can we trust you? You are just arrived. So where is your worth? How can we trust your worth? And I think it is in these large projects or in very long projects. We have some. Service agreement that span 30 years, so very, very long. They cover the entire duration of the investment. I think reflecting upon that, the worth, the ability to stick to your own word, to your commitment, it's really one of the key characteristics, key things that will make the project successful ultimately. So there are setbacks always, and there are moments where it's really hard to continue for many reasons. We speak about politics, financial reasons, and so on. But I think leaders in large projects really need to have their end goal in mind all the time. So it's really key, because ultimately it affects how you will develop the narrative in your company, how you will affect the narrative with your own customer. And so the understanding the importance of your own word and understanding the end goal and supporting that, it's really key to ultimately unlock and finding a solution together. So I would say, I really liked the answer of Peter actually on his politician that he encountered in the past. I didn't have the chance to find such a politician, but I have learned through experience in the last 15 years with my customers, and through examples of good leaders that I had the chance to encounter. So, keeping your word, walk the talk, as the American says. It's really a key trait of what we need from a leader in large projects today.
Excellent. Plus, we learn from you now. If somebody is younger and you are assigned a project and all the other leaders and directors are older than you, dye your hair gray.
That could have good one.
Okay, great. I'm really enjoying our discussions. Let's go to the third poll before we tackle the third challenge. And the third poll to our dear audience: how do we achieve and validate leaders' competence? Number one, adopt a specific certification like IPMA Level A or IPMA Level B, or Portfolio Management Professional, or Program Management Professional, or Strategy Implementation Professional, or similar. Two, leaders should have practical experience in all various business units through rotation, much like you do very much in the oil and gas sector or in the health sector. I like to see the rotation more in other industries as well. Number three, mentoring provided by internal seasoned leaders and external and internal coaches. And four, it all boils down to results and the capability to deliver, which should be tracked through the career achievement of every potential leader. So you are what you did before. And let us give our audience some more seconds to reflect. Okay. You have 0% for certification so far. Very interesting. Okay. You know the thing about by the time people answer about certification, it's good for those who deserve it. Okay. It's not good for those who do not qualify, because in many cases, people might be able to cheat on a certain system and claim a certification that he or she do not have the right experience or knowledge or enough background, but they studied very well. Well, you study very well in the university and you can succeed, but this does not make you a real life project manager. You have to take the hits and you have to gain experience over the years. Maybe some good gray hair would help you as well. And okay, so ending the poll. And our 12% for certification, 18% practical experience and rotation, 9% mentoring, and 59% about the whole career achievement that can be tracked and proven. And our third question is how do we achieve success through the competences of individuals, which is the title of our panel tonight. So right now we start with who? We started with you, Pierre, and we started with Waleed. We did not start with Peter. Okay, let's start with you now.
Thank you. Okay, I personally, I had enough experience, but what I had a strong person who supported me, and I had a very good team. So, and I had a very responsive, a very good client. It was the Abu Dhabi Fund for Arab Economic Development. I will never forget this, what type of professional relation we could establish with this client. So I can tell you this was probably the place where I personally learned the most. So I did not learn very much at the university. I did not learn very much in type of business management courses and so on, but there on this side, I really learned extremely. And I was young. Now, the lesson I learned and what I always try to tell to my colleagues, give young people a chance, help young people to get there, to be successful. Nobody is born as a master. Everybody has to learn. Everybody has to get his own chance. So I'm a very big friend and a very fan of accompanying people to give talents a fair chance, but also to attend from talents that they are taking a chance, that they are going, to, for instance, to a construction site, and also to take some kind of disadvantages if they want to achieve, and if they want to, to be successful. But one thing I also learned, everybody needs from times to times to reflect his own competences and to reflect this in a guided manner. But we all tend to be convinced by ourselves. But now continuous reflections on what you are doing, excuse me please, is extremely helpful. And for me personally, a certification level A was exactly this kind of reflection, not only on my know-how, but also how I do behave, how is my experience, how do I interact with people. And I think this is, for me, this is the way to do it. A combination of really giving young people a chance to have experience, to help them, to support them, and to certificate at the right moment on the right level. And this is the reason why, for me, being an assessor on level A is nothing else than a continuous improvement of my competences. Because I do see how other people do it. I do see how other people manage difficult situations. And for me, it's an enrichment.
This is great. I love these 2 points. I personally find myself there. All my life, I've been working with young people, and I'm very proud of them. Many of them have become directors and almost partners in great organizations. And it gives you great pleasure to be somebody who participated in launching great careers and great lives. This is very, very important. And the second point, I always love it. I cannot imagine myself stopping learning and training. Okay, I got a PhD in project management in 2016, and then I said, that's it. I don't need any certification anymore. Why should I? Now I have, and I have an award winner and whatnot, and I had like 10 certifications. Since then, I got several more certifications. When you're used to it, if you don't go on and read and test yourself and learn, you find yourself behind. Okay, I love your point. So Waleed, what do you think?
I already, let's say, with my team, I promote the culture of IPMA in order to have the same communication and understanding language to know where we are and how we can communicate better, how you understand the competencies, how you know the competencies you have. This is the point. Normally, by experience, you learn. You learn by doing. However, for ICP, if you read, you enlarge your competences. You reflect what you read in what you are doing. This is what I already did with my colleagues. Also, my team, I developed most of them to be certified IPMA with different level, from level D to level B. All of them almost certified now. Therefore, this is reflected also on the success of organizations. However, Siemens, now we have previously certification for internal certification with PM at Siemens, and nowadays it changed to have only external certification. And guess with who? They choose IPMA. They have exclusive deal with IPMA to have a certification of the PM career path, because they are focusing on the certification of experience for what we are doing, not only a theory or theoretical things or a knowledge, not only knowledge, it should be with experience. This means we are certifying the people for what they are doing, this in order to prove their competences, and as well as give us, let's say, a gap for a competence which needs to be developed or to have a training on it to be let's say, reach the expected level from them.
Okay.
This is what we are doing.
Okay, great. Now we take the last comment before we start to take answers. From Pierre, what's your reflection on the poll? And our last challenge or question again, how do we achieve success through competencies of individuals?
In Italian, we say that, sorry, there's no Italian, so I guess I'm just going to say it in English. We say that we steal the work with the eyes. So the way of really learning, and this was, of course, at the time of carpenters and so on, so more manual work. But I think to some extent it applies also to project management. That you really need to have good examples in front of you and to observe them and to be able to test yourself things maybe in a safe manner. I personally, for example, when I moved from engineering to project management, it was a very painful transition for myself because I couldn't really delegate properly things. It's like engineers had a very clear idea how things should be done, and moving from doing things yourself to having a team doing things was for me at the time a difficult experience. So I think in that context, of course, you need to develop your own skills, but in that context, any type of certification trained at the end, So this is always a little bit of resistance and fear of failure. But ultimately, it's been really interesting because forcing you to look at what you do with a different language. In our companies, we very often have our own jargon, our own procedures, and it's very easy to fall into that model, without really understanding or reflecting on what those things really mean for you, for your project, for the company. So being able to look through the competencies of the IPMA and having to somehow to remap what you do into a different language and a different structure, it's a really interesting exercise to be done. And then ultimately, you have to confront an assessor, a team of assessors, where you really have to have a dialogue and exchange also views. And even that was, for me at least, was very interesting because I could exchange concerns, or I was able to debate some aspect of my project that normally I will not do in the same way within my own company because the procedure I established and not up for discussion. So, but this exercise of both having to put back your blocks, what you do, into a different mold, and then having this open dialogue with your assessors, I found it extremely valuable. And as a way of progressing, of understanding better what I do, or even like in my case, coming back with the ideas and how to structure my team, or what could I do more with my own team in terms of organizing my portfolio and managing better my project. So yes, IPMA probably is not the top of the list, or another certification is probably not of the top of the list here, but I think it's if you ask the question of what can be done to bring you to have the right competencies, what is the path that what is the tool that can help you developing those competencies, I think then a certification is probably higher up in the list than of course the field work that also is of course is the basic and it's very important.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. Now, we've been talking about competencies of individuals, and in a bit in room 3, we'll start to tackle the competencies of organizations and maturity models, specifically the Delta. Now, to wrap up our things and start to take some questions, all three of you spoke about the IPMA certification, and the first question comes from me, and I understand, because so far I'm not IPMA certified. I had this in my plans for 2021, but they got delayed like everything else. welcome to the world of project managers. So the thing is that you are being assessed by a machine which has AI, or assessed by a human being who has feelings and a brains and knowledge and experience. Which one of these, if you might, anybody of you like to answer my question?
I think Peter mentioned he's an assessor, so but you have to be careful what you say.
Okay, Peter the assessor.
I hope nobody has ever considered me as a machine. I sincerely do hope so. No, I think it makes really the difference, because if we consider those people who are interested in a certification, and now I have certified many people, I'm an assessor since 10 years, and I can tell you the huge majority takes it very serious, and they are very well prepared. And I think if we as an assessor can contribute with some intelligent questions which are related to the reports those people are writing a big effort, then I think we can contribute a lot also to stimulate the further reflection. I can give you an example. For instance, one of my candidates once was quite, let's say, not so positive towards his company he worked. And at the end of the interview, we could give him a hint, let's say this way. And he was very thankful to us. And he was thankful in a way to us that this really helped him to reflect furthermore. And he was quite successful in his company afterwards. And I think with this approach and with this spirit, then we think we can also contribute, and we should contribute, this is our objective, to the success of the companies and of the organizations the people are working for. And I mean, as Yvonne said it at the very beginning of tonight, I mean, our intention, the intention of IPMA is to help projects to be successful and not to make people to have negative experiences so far. We really want to contribute to a better world of projects.
Very nicely put. So let's take a question from my friend Nawaf Al-Ahmadi from.
One more point, I think that is also, it's also interesting in the assessor, is that very often they come, or actually I think always, or almost always, they come from a different industry. So this is also very interesting, because it put you in front, for me it was like a banking sector a person, for example, and in the banking, of course, it's completely different than from oil and gas, okay? But that also help you appreciate the process, the structure, the commonalities that ultimately you have on the project, also with a different spin, but he enrich you to come back having visited briefly another type of company, another type of industry. So that's also an interesting aspect of the IPMA.
So Waleed, it's about project management competencies, not the technical competencies.
If you are, let's say, commercial or banker or whatsoever, this means you are, let's say, assessing based on the competencies only, nothing else. But if you have the technical background, this means you have to assess the competencies with another way, with some of feelings and some of background of know-hows, many things. But if you have different let's say, sectors, this means you are assessing based on only the competences.
Yeah, because engineer to engineer, they do connect. Yeah. Okay, so a question from my friend Nawaf Al-Ahmadi from Marafiq, Eastern Saudi Arabia. Thanks for the great topic and discussion. Critical success factors are many. In my humble opinion, one of the factors that really are overlooked as having a committed and motivated team. Is there any particular experience or success story in this domain? So let's have a story about building a committed and motivated team.
I have one.
Yes, Waleed. Waleed has stories. Yes.
Yes.
I love stories.
Normally, when we have, let's say, this Giga deals, we have to join many of colleagues to the team in order to build the team spirit and motivate them, and let's say give them the importance of the project and our strategy. I invite all of them for a team building in a 5-star hotel on a Red Sea. And we are going there for doing sports and social tasks. Nothing for talking about the project or anything. Only ice-breaking, motivate the team. And at the end, we have a quiz for them about our project. And the people who is getting the right answer, he get a prize. For sure, it's a small one, but it's a prize. And this is already
very interesting.
Yeah. Another story, when completing the project, we get award from Siemens about our project, and I personally receive it as a project director. However, this is, let's say, it's part of it, it's souvenirs, and part of it, it's money. I got this money and buy a ties for the whole team with this money. Not only for me, this is for the whole team, and this is given, let's say, this is your contributions, and they are motivated.
Okay, very beautiful answer. Thank you. So we have only 3 minutes. Let's take these 2 questions quickly. Oloru Nizola, quite interesting subject and discussion. How do we successfully manage larger infrastructure projects in locations with high insecurity? And maybe Peter, you can answer this, and the last one goes to Pierre.
On security, yes. I think if we want to have really a good team also everywhere, we must have people who are convinced by the project. So if we personally are not convinced that what we are doing is a good thing to do, then we think the problem already starts. And one of my first questions to people, which I would like to motivate for the project, is if they do personally have a conviction that this is a good thing they are doing. I mean, the problem at the point you are basically, maybe you are speaking about Yemen, huh? Yes, it was a difficult area, but we were all convinced at that time that we are doing something good for the Maghreb area. We were really convinced, whether rightly or not. But at this time, we were convinced that what we are doing together with our customer is a good thing, is the right thing to do. If we would not have been convinced, if we would not have been persuaded even, I think you cannot cover this even by money or by salary aspects. It does not work. So this is really my basic issue. I must be sure that the persons which we engage for projects, they are really saying, yes, I can work for this project with my full conviction.
We can't hear you, Doctor. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Yes. Last question in 1 minute, because we need to start room 3. Although I can stay with you for 2 more hours, but we have to move on. The panel answers so far have rightly focused on human qualities, virtues, perhaps trust, reliability. How do we verify and assess virtues, trust, reliability? Pierre.
Trust and reliability. So it took me a long time to be trusted. So of course, I think it resonates also with the one of the question at some point where a lot of people were actually pointing out the need of experience, the need the leader get developed through experience. Of course, this is not the only way, and clearly the openness, the capacity of the person to be open and to be what we say transparent, but ultimately to be able to share what's going on and explaining the situation where it remain a key aspect, because ultimately we will trust people. What does it really mean to say that I trust someone? Is that what he says, I think it's true, no? And so this is possible in two ways: with time, or through the fact that you recognize that what the person is telling you in a short time, it's really transparent, it's really complete, and the person is not trying to hide from you anything that is important. So either you have time, or you need to be really open and transparent with your customers and your people, because that's your team trust is probably even more important.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Waleed, Peter, and Pierre, it has been a joy. I really enjoyed our discussions. I really enjoyed having these interesting and professional chats with you. I believe also the audience did. And having said that, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to move right now to room number 3. And I believe Mustafa will put the link for room number 3, where we are going to speak about 2 very, very tough topics. One about from Rosatom Nuclear and how they utilized the Delta model for their process competency, and the other one from also about Swiss Telecom. So see you there. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.